Hello, welcome back to electricpetrolhead. In this video we're going to be talking about this car here, our 2019 BMW i3. It's coming up to 50,000 miles and we've owned it since new. So how's it been and what's gone wrong? Now the first thing to say is, if this is your only car you might find it a bit small, especially if, like us, you've got children. But we've got the Model Y over there. So between the two, I think we've got pretty much a perfect pair. When we do long family journeys, we do it in the Y. You've got supercharging, it's big, got a massive boot, loads of storage options. We've got roof bars if we need it. It's really a great big family car. But this thing gets, I don't know why, it just is a car that we absolutely love. And there's a lot of logic now, especially as our daughters are getting older and the rear doors, which I'll come to in a bit, are a bit of a pain. There's logic to swapping this for a Model 3, but it's just brilliant. Like, it's for running errands, city driving, you know, dropping the kids off at various clubs and stuff. It's just brilliant. It's really fun to drive. 0 to 30 I think is faster than the BMW M4, so it's quick. Above 50 or 60, yeah, it loses a bit of poke, but realistically around town you don't need sort of that much speed. It's a proper four-seater. By that I mean you could put adults in the back, so it's a bit of a TARDIS. There's a lot more space in there. Do you think there was? And our two dogs both go in the boot okay. Yeah, it's just a superb car. But like I said, we've owned it for 50,000 miles now. It's never let us down, it's never broken, but there's been a few things that have gone wrong. So whilst overall the car is superb, let me just go through a few things. Now I think this actually looks quite cool from the front, but anyway, let's look under here and I'll show you. Oops, there we go, the first one. So this is the frunk, which we just sort of keep sort of charging cables and stuff in like that. Now I'm going to do a proper video on this because it does involve taking all of it apart. But if you look in here, that is the steering column. You can just about see. Now the problem with that is it's quite exposed to water and the like, and it does get a bit graty, and that just needs lubricating. I'm now doing that maybe every 5,000 miles, and it does make a huge difference. And like I said, because it's quite an easy DIY job, I'll do a separate video on it explaining how to do it, what you need to look for. But yeah, other than that, it's all good. Now while I'm in here, the other side, now these do come off really easy. The other side down there is a 12-volt battery. I replaced that myself. I bought the part from BMW, and you know, in an hour or so I replaced that. I'm not a mechanic, but I'm reasonably okay with DIY. Again, if you're not happy, let's get someone else to do it. But it was starting to throw up a few errors on the car, and I thought that sounds like a 12-volt, and measured the voltage, and yeah, it was dropping a bit. So replaced that, and since then it's been absolutely fine. So in a way, that 12-volt battery issue was probably the only problem that I'd say stopped the car from being usable. It was just throwing up a few random errors, and it wasn't taking a charge properly. And yeah, 12-volt. 12 volts are pretty much the Achilles heel of EVs. They're not generally used, and they should be kept topped up by the main battery. I'm not sure if it's because we got third-party dash cams fitted that are motion sensing, so they do pick up on a lot of people. Other than that, I'm not sure, but generally after sort of 3 to 4 years you'll probably want to keep an eye on it, and if you start seeing any problems, just get it swapped out. It wasn't a massively expensive change. Now moving around the car, this is alongside the back passenger seat, and behind there are the two blue cable pulls to release the door and release the charger port. I snapped one of them, bit of a muppet. Again, have a look in my other videos. I haven't filmed it yet, but in the next week or so I'll upload a video on that problem. And yeah, just be gentle with them, and yeah, don't snap them like I did. So other than looking filthy, the boot and the back end of the car has been faultless. It's a very usable boot, and I've left the charging bag in another sort of net bag in there just to kind of let you see the space. But there is enough space in there for 2 sort of medium-sized dogs, or a lot of luggage. We did run this car as our only car during COVID because neither of us were driving much for work. It's okay. It's as your only car, in a way, you might be better off with something like the Tesla. But yeah, we loved it, and it did a lot of mileage for those 2 years in and around town. So yeah, it is a good car. Again, can't really blame BMW for this, but I've got to fix this at some point. It's it was a stone chip that's sort of taken off the lacquer a bit. So yeah, I need to get that fixed. And another bodywork issue, ignore that mark there, that snapped. Hit a bit of rope debris, and these are actually quite delicate. So yeah, at some point I've got to get that out. It's not a very expensive part. It's been like that for a couple of years now because I don't need to replace it. But at some point I will. Just need to take off the whole front bumper and swap. I think the part's about 120 quid. Get that swapped out. While I'm around at the front of the car, I've just remembered another issue that we're currently trying to diagnose. Because of its age, it's out of warranty, so I'm a bit nervous about going to BMW and just spending an absolute fortune on diagnostics and stuff like that. I'm also the type to try to solve problems myself. I find it a lot more satisfying, cheaper, and it means if the problem comes back, like the steering sort of crunchiness that I described earlier, I can fix it again. It's really good. Aircon. It's the problem is the aircon system is only shared with the BMW i8, and it's quite an expensive part. So to just go swapping out parts is expensive. It's just not that strong in the summer anymore. I've had it regassed. There's no leaks in the system, so it comes down to, I think, the condenser and the compressor, which are all hidden sort of down here, I believe. To be fair, I just need a free weekend. I'm just too busy. I have a really good local mechanic. He does all the MOTs, and any little work, he regassed it for me. At some point, I just got to sort of pop down to his workshop for a couple of hours, and we'll just have a dig around together. If I do that, I'll do another video on it in the future. But it's not too bad. Like I said, we don't really do long journeys in this car, so having okay aircon is fine. And we're now in September, so it's just going to get colder, sadly. So again, it might just be a problem that waits until MOT and service time round in I think it's May. So yeah, I might just get that all done at once. But yeah, all good out here. Let's go inside. So here's proof that I'm 6'1", 20 stone, and I fit in the back seat of a BMW i3, and my head's yeah, it's not much space, but normally it's our 2 daughters in the back here, so don't often get in the back seat of these. But yeah, it is a proper 4-seater. So if you were a family of, say, 2 parents and then 2 teenagers, or even sort of full adults, there is enough space in here to make it very usable. So yeah, I like it. Interior wise, it's been pretty faultless. It's starting to get a little bit squeaky and a little bit rattly at times. It's not that bad that I feel that I want to just sort of completely pull all the trim off and try to sort of understand what's going on. It's probably just bits and pieces like these that my daughter's leaving the car that I'm hearing. Generally, it's a really, really well built car, and I don't really have any complaints. The seats mark really easy with fresh water. It's as in rainwater. I ended up buying one of these Vax sort of, what are they called, spot cleaner. It's like a sort of a wet hoover. That was brilliant, and that solved it and cleaned the seats up looking like new. So I highly recommend you get one of those, about 100 quid from Argos, and made really easy work. So anyway, let's jump in the front seat. Nothing's really gone wrong in here either. the difference between, say, the Tesla and the i3 is that that car's getting upgrades all the time with new tech and new software for the entertainment system. BMW don't really do that, which is a real shame. So the tech in this is quite old. We didn't spec CarPlay, which I kind of regret. And it would have made long journeys a lot easier. It's not really a problem because we can just run sat-nav off phones. And again, like I say, we're fortunate enough to have the Tesla, so only long journeys go in that. So I don't really use sat-nav. Most of the time I leave it on DAB radio, but then it cuts out occasionally. You can link in Spotify from your phone, which is quite useful, and that's all wireless, which is cool. But to be fair, I keep it quite simple. You know, I don't mind a few of the DAB radios, so just leave those on. And yeah, it is just a very, very good, usable, small EV. That's the fact you can now pick these up for under 10 grand makes an absolute bargain. Batteries and all that sort of stuff, you know, the expensive stuff, BMW in typical German way over-engineered it, so it's a very reliable car. It's never let us down. Like I said, the 12-volt issue, that happens to all cars. You just got to keep aware, and when you do sort of start noticing the problems, just swap out the 12-volt really quickly. I used BimmerLink, which is an app for my iPhone, and it with a dongle that plugs in to the OBD port. Highly recommend that. It's not expensive. I think it was like 20 quid for the app, another 20 quid for the dongle. And that allowed me to sort of do all the resetting for the battery. It's very simple in here compared to the Tesla. I like that. You know, I like the fact that it just works. We just jump in and just get on with our day. There's not a lot more to say, really. So, you know, it is, as much as I'm a petrol head and I love my cars, these two I see as just workhorses. You know, they do the job that they need to do. This is superb for ferrying my two daughters around. It's very rare all four of us go out in this car now. Kay does long journeys with work, so on those days she takes a Tesla, but quite often she still takes the i3 for like up to about 120 mile round trips. She really likes it. We've got a real dilemma over keeping it because we don't want to get rid of it. But there's a big part of me, especially, that wants, say, a Model 3 Performance to go along with the Model Y standard range, to give us that, you know, really quick EV sort of experience. Or do I do the unspeakable and get a third car alongside it, like a TVR? But yeah, won't mention that to my EV friends. So that's it. 50,000 miles, bar a couple of minor things that really are very minor. It's been faultless, so really happy with this car. Quite happy to run it for another sort of 5 years and another 50,000 miles. I put on Twitter the other day that my daughters, who are currently nearly 11 and 9, they may end up driving this if we still got it, because it's a very safe, and it's got good visibility, a little bit higher up than sort of a lower car. So if the insurance is sensible, then maybe this is their first car. I don't know. It gets charged up every night. Well, it doesn't every night because we don't do enough mileage in it. It gets charged up via Octopus Intelligent, which is linked to the Tesla, but you can still use this car and get a sort of, I think it's 7.5 pence a kilowatt hour charge out of it, which just makes it ridiculously cheap. So it's under £3 to fully charge this car overnight, and you'll get 170 miles ish in summer, maybe 120, 130 in winter. Mileages vary massively though. You know, we do a lot of driving of short journeys, and that massively brings down the average. On a longer journey, you see the range creeping up quite quickly. So I think they're great. There's a reason a lot of my petrolhead friends who have like Ferraris and Lambos and stuff, they have probably a Range Rover as their big family car because they love them. They've got an i3 as well. So the fact that a lot of people who are full-on petrol heads are still owning an i3 and they love it, and they end up fighting, you know, their husbands and wives over who gets to drive it. That says a lot about these cars. You know, they really are good. If there's any questions you got about running an i3, you can either comment below, or in the description you'll find my email address. Here's to another 50,000 miles. Thanks for watching. See you in another video. Bye.